What's up, guys? It's Nosy Boy, and I'm back with a brand new series. I hope you guys really like this one, because this is definitely the video I've put the most time into. First, I really want to thank you guys. You guys are insane. You're absolute monsters. You're all badasses. The amount of support and love you show my channel is just, it's mind-boggling. You know, I have a little babby channel. Like, this is a very young channel. And I'm already almost at 1,000 subs. You guys are so insane. Literally a week ago, I was sitting at 60. I want you to think about that. A week ago, I had 60 subs. And now you're like, here, Nosy, have 800 more. Like, I can't take it. You guys are just too kind. I love you all. So, here's a series for you. Here's a series. Basically, because DICE doesn't feel like putting content in the game and characters in the game, I'm going to do it for you because I'm such a sweet person. It's not going to be Obi-Wan and Grievous because I still genuinely think we're going to get them really soon. And if it's not in April, then I'll, like, eat a shoe or something because, like, fuck. If it's not April, it'll be June and it'll suck. But basically, DICE isn't putting characters in this game. We all want characters in this game. I'm trying to keep the hype for this game alive. Nosy Boy is the beacon this game needs, and Nosy Boy is going to put Jango Fett in this game. We're going to give him his default appearance, base stats, weapons, abilities, star cards, skins, and emotes. We're going to do it all. We're going to do all of it. And you're going to be able to close your eyes at the end of this video and say, hey, I can visualize Jango Fett in Battlefront 2. I know how Jango's going to play, and you might even be able to put him on the hero and villain tier list. That is how deep I am going today. So without further ado, in this long intro aside, let's get into this video. Alright, quick disclaimer, I am not a professional game designer, but at least I'm making an effort, unlike some people. I don't want to get too salty with them, but still. Jango's default appearance is obviously going to be his Mandalorian armor from Attack of the Clones. That's all it could be. However, I do want to go with the silver and blue jetpack just because I feel like it matches him more, and there's actually a gameplay reason why I'm giving him a different jetpack from Boba Fett. Secondly, I think Jango Fett should have around 600 or 650 health, maybe even 700, and have a walk speed equal to that of the assault class, not being too slow while not being too quick. We don't want a Luke or Darth Maul with a jetpack. That would just be overkill. Jango would only be able to take 150 damage before he starts losing health that he can't recover though, so he's going to be a little squishy. Alright, so if you couldn't tell, I'm hinting that the jetpacks are different because they're going to perform differently. The core of these characters are their jetpacks, so if we change how Jango performs at his core, he's going to play differently than Boba. Boba is the super fucking annoying pest that's always in the air and hard to hit, and he's always away from his opponents. He stays a decent distance away, and I hate it. I hate it so much. He's fun to play, but it's like on Heroes vs. Villains, when he's the target, this is so annoying. All you have to do is make it so Boba can never be the target, and it's fine. It would be fucking fine. There are 4 people on a team. Boba should never have to be the target. This is a perfect way to balance him. But whatever, I'm fucking ranting, because Boba and HVV, it just boils my blood. But Jango's jetpack won't be that fucking annoying. He's gonna be cool. Jango won't be able to fly, but for a second or two tops. But it's faster than Boba's, and it refills faster than Boba's. He's going to be very hard to hit, and be the most useful when on the front lines, racking up kills, using it frequently to drastically change his position. I want Jango to be the go-to hyper-offensive blaster villain. I want him to do crazy damage at close ranges, but be kind of squishy and have really bad damage at longer ranges to help balance this. I essentially want him to be the blaster equivalent of someone like Darth Maul. This playstyle, of course, is going to be supported by his weapons and his abilities. If you guys know who Jango Fett is, you know he has the badass blaster pistols. They're called Westar 34s, and they're dope. These blaster pistols are used for intense attacks at smaller ranges, and in the game they'd act similarly to SMGs in most video games. Actually, on that note, the duo of pistols would behave a lot like a roided CR2 and melt people close up. While they only shoot one at a time normally, Jango dual wields them, so they would shoot loads of blaster bolts in small amounts of time. The duo of pistols will only be controlled by the right trigger, not the left and right trigger like Palpatine's lightning. This is because his jetpack is going to be needing the left trigger. Yes, this means that Jango has to hip fire the pistols, and they would be practically useless at long range, keeping Jango from playing a really lame game. The blasters would be able to shoot for 4 seconds constantly without overheating and do around 250 damage per second, 1,000 damage per clip if every shot is landed. If you compared this to heroes like Chewbacca and his overload and other hero damage, this really isn't that crazy. Heroes do big boy damage, and Jango is up close constantly, and he's always contending with damage from other sources. Jango has to contend with Vanguards, Wookiees, CR2s, TL-50s, lightsabers, and more damaging options. It's insane what he has to keep up with, and in addition to Jango's close-up playstyle and his low health, this keeps him from being too overpowered. While he's really good at melting people, he can kind of be killed just as easily. The biggest weakness to these blasters, however, is their inability to penetrate shields of any kind, Yoda's absorb, and lightsaber blocks. This is where his first ability is going to come in. Jango Fett's first ability is going to be a flamethrower in a cone in front of him, 15% larger than the flametroopers, but it's going to do the same amount of damage as the flametroopers. If you don't know, the flametroopers do 175 damage per second, including the damage over time burn applied. Side note, please go watch 4FS Gaming's Secrets of the Flametrooper and tell them Nosy sent you. They really go in a lot of detail about the Flametrooper, their flames, and they spend about 10 minutes on it. It's insane how much detail they go into, and I could never replicate that for this video, or it would be like 30 to 40 minutes long for everything. But definitely go check them out if you want even more detail about how flames operate in Star Wars Battlefront 2 and a lot more. Back to our video though, this ability can shoot for 3 seconds, adding up to 525 damage in total. Flames will go through all shields, Yoda's absorb, and lightsabers, making up for the fact that it doesn't shoot for all that long. It would be unfair if Jango Fett could completely wipe heroes like Leia and the lightsaber characters in a single use of the ability that breaks all defenses, so that's also why it only shoots for 3 seconds. Jango is much more mobile than Flametroopers, so it's also a lot harder to escape his punishment. I imagine this ability as either a way to clean up kills that the West Star can't, a way to open up saber characters that won't stop blocking, a way to spray fire down a hallway, or a way to get people out of their squad shields, and a way to shut down personal shields from any character. I imagine this ability is going to be very strong, so it's going to have a 25-second cooldown. That's pretty high, but it's also a very powerful tool, and it should not always be available. Jango Fett's second ability is the Camino saber dart, and I really like this one. It's a quick moving projectile that only does 20 damage on impact, but it's going to apply a damage over time effect. It's going to do 50 damage over the course of 5 seconds. This is one of his only options at range, and I wanted to make sure it wasn't particularly powerful. To add to this ability's utility, however, I wanted to give it a small amount of crowd control. Enemies hit by it will be slowed by 8%. Subsequent darts will stack 4% to the slow. Jango has 2 darts starting out, and they have a 12-second cooldown. So the frequency they are available is at about an average of 1 every 6 seconds. These are very handy and are available very frequently. They are a nice addition to Jango's kit. The projectile, however, can be stopped by saber blocking, shields, and personal shields. I really didn't want an ability available this frequently to be as strong as his flamethrower, or as his next ability, which is fucking badass. Jango's third and final ability is Jetpack Rocket. It launches a rocket from his jetpack, believe it or not. It does 300 damage on impact in a radius equal to that of a thermal imploder. Before you call me insane, let me explain. However, this attack has a full 1.5 seconds of startup because Jango needs to kneel to fire his missile. In addition, it will be on a 45-second cooldown to keep the ability from always being available. Also, the cooldown doesn't begin until the missile explodes. So travel time adds to the cooldown time. It's really on like a 50-second cooldown. It does have tracking because if he has a 50-second ability that never hits, it's useless. And if Leia can have tracking on her secondary fire, why not give it to Jango on what is essentially his ultimate ability? It's a very strong ability that's rarely available, but I thought it was a good way to balance the fact that he basically has a fourth passive ability in the form of his jetpack. Taking into account startup and projectile travel time, it's not available often at all, and most people get heroes later in the game, so a Jango player may only get 1 to 5 uses of the ability total per match. This ability overall is insanely powerful, but it does have an insane weight to use it. So I think overall it's balanced, and I really love it. I really do. For Jango Fett star cards, I don't want to go into them too long, or this will be like a 40-minute video, so I'm just going to cover the star card's name, what they do, common stats, epic stats, and for some of them I will go a little more in detail because they need some explaining. For his first star card, Jango Fett has Quick Escape. Jango's jetpack has its movement speed increased, helping his maneuverability by quite a bit, believe it or not. But it uses fuel 5% faster. At common, it's only a 2% increase, which is garbage, but at epic, it's a 10% increase, which is really noticeable. This is just a movement speed buff, and it's not going to make him a keep away character. Don't worry, I haven't done anything that crazy to him. Jango's second star card is Simple Man. Jango's blasters build less heat when firing. At common, again, it's just a 2% decrease, but at epic, again, it's a 10% decrease, which is really good and very noticeable in his damage. I don't think a slight decrease on the heat build is that big of a deal, especially when there are still so many things that are going to block his blaster fire outright. His next star card is A Dangerous Game. Jango recovers 25 health with every blaster kill, slightly more on heroes he kills with his blasters. Common, this is 40 health. Epic, this is 100 health for every hero. Really quick, I want to harp on this one a little bit more as it's the one everybody is going to hypothetically use. The key phrase in this card, if you noticed, was with your blaster. This means kills with his rocket and dart do not recover his health, meaning he has to get close in order to recover health. Since he's not hard to snipe to death with 600 health, maybe 700 depending on what you guys think, players will have to stay in the fight longer to recover health and get a lot of hero time. So you have to play this character aggressively. Next up is Incendiary Rocket. Jango Fett's rocket does less explosive damage but now covers the area in a damage over time fire effect. Common, it just changes it to 100 explosive damage, and at epic it's 100 explosive damage as well as a 20% increase to the area of effect. This is just going to change a rocket into, well, an incendiary rocket that would blanket the old explosion radius in fire for 8 seconds, doing 5 damage every quarter second. This is a lot of damage, and it basically makes him an objective control god and really kind of changes his playstyle in a fun way, I think. No Escape is the next card, and it's a really fun one. Basically, enemies killed by Jango's rocket will be marked for Jango on their next life. Common is 5 seconds mark time. Epic is 15 seconds mark time. I think this is insanely fun because it's going to get Jango a chance to get a lot more kills. It's going to make a lot more people vulnerable to him and give even more use to his already great ultimate ability. Now we're getting into star cards that change his poison dart. The first one is one shot, one kill. Jango trades in his 3 saber darts for a single, more deadly, potent dart. Cooldown increases to 17 seconds. At common, it does 40 impact damage and 80 damage over time. And at epic, it does 50 impact damage and 150 damage over time. Basically, if you don't like having to hit multiple darts, it still has an 8% slow, but this is just a big boy damage dart. In contrast, the next card is enough for everybody. Jango gets 1 extra saber dart, but the cooldown is increased. At common, it's a 20-second cooldown, and at epic, it's 15. This is really helpful because you then average a saber dart every 5 seconds, and then it's just nice to have an extra one. You have more damage, and this is the only case where you can have a 16% slow, because each subsequent dart from the initial one adds 4% if you remember. So it's a really fun and I think very useful star card to use. The next one is weird and kind of one of my favorites. Jango Fett has more fuel in his jetpack, and his flamethrower has 5 seconds less cooldown time. However, they now both use his fuel reserves. Common is 15% more fuel, Epic is 40. I think this is a really fun way to give you an option to fly more, but it's also kind of a good way to balance it because now you have to choose, am I going to be in the air or am I going to use flamethrower? The final star card is really basic but really useful. Mandalorian armor. Jango takes less blaster damage. Common is 5% decrease, Epic is 20% decrease. I made the Epic so much of a dramatic reduction because Jango only has 600 health at the basis of these star cards. I designed these star cards with the idea that he has 600 health. If he had 700, like I've been debating with myself, I would knock it down to like 15 max. But I think this is really useful because he's in people's faces a lot, and I think it's necessary to build on Jango. I would definitely build it. And honestly, it's a fun card. Finally, we have skins and emotes. This is always my favorite part to talk about. For skins, his first is going to be Jango Fett with the cute little poncho on. You know, you never know when it's going to rain in the galaxy, so you need your cute little baby poncho so my little baby Jango doesn't get all wet. And secondly, we could have Jango with Boba Fett's jetpack because they're different jetpacks. There's some visual difference there. It's interesting enough to be its own skin, but it would definitely be a cheaper one. And finally, his best skin would be Jango Fett without his helmet. We do see Tamora Morrison without his helmet a lot in the movie, and we see him in the movie without his helmet still wearing the Jango Fett armor. So it makes sense. It would be cool to see, and it would be a really good epic skin for the character. I know I would use it. I know I would want it.
He doesn't seem to take a hint, this guy. Well, we won't be seeing him again. I'm just a simple man trying to make my way in the universe. Always a pleasure to meet a Jedi.
Thank you all so much for watching the video, but before you go, I need to explain how this series is going to continue from now on. Every Friday you can expect one of these videos, and in the description for every one of these videos will be a straw poll that I will close after 72 hours to determine what character is next. Every poll will have 3 prequel characters, 3 original trilogy characters, and 3 new era characters. The winner will start in the next video, and I'll make a new straw poll based on the characters most mentioned in the comments. So go vote for whether or not you'd like to see Anakin Skywalker, Mace Windu, Qui-Gon Jinn, Grand Admiral Thrawn, Greedo, Admiral Akbar, Snoke, Poe Dameron, or General Hux in that poll. Make sure you tell me in the comments who you want to see in the next poll, and subscribe to stay tuned to this series. With all that said, I'll catch you in the next video. Thank you all again so much for watching.